All right, let's get to it. Real 92.3, LA's new home for hip hop. It is Jeff Garcia. Cruise Show is in the building, and I'm telling you, this has been a lifetime in waiting for me, man. Talking to Slug from Atmosphere. Congratulations on the new album, man.
Hey, thank you very much, man. I'm very blessed, fortunate to be here. New music, yo, who knew?
Yes.
I'm here. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised a little bit, when I saw it. By the way, the album is called Word? ? Are we calling it just Word?
I mean,
or are we saying it with a particular inflection?
I say word. That's how
word?
I say it. Yeah, word.
Word.
Like,
okay. It is fire, and it's out now on all streaming platforms, man. I think Ant's at the top of his game, dude. Really, man. Sonically, it just sounds so beautiful. And as usual, you're on point with everything you're talking about, topic wise. Some of the features, evidence. I mean, when you guys get together, it's just always butter when you guys get together. The Rhymesayers crew is on there. Rhymesayers crew is on there as well, along with MF Doom. Let's talk about that and start with that one first. Do you remember that being recorded or how that all came about? And give us the kind of the background of that song.
Yeah, and first off, rest in peace, MF
yes,
Doom.
Sir.
A glorious artist. Taken too soon. And
yes,
what happened was I got this beat from Anthony, and it was originally intended to be a really extra long posse cut, and it wasn't even for me. It was Anthony was gonna make a super long posse cut with a bunch of different Rhymesayers artists on it. And when I say a bunch, I think there was probably like 12 that they were trying to get on there, and everybody's gonna do like 8 bars or something like that. And I wrote my part, right away. I was like, oh, let me write my piece, and then Aesop Rock wrote his piece right away. And the two of us were just like, boom, done. Who's next? And then the project that they were trying to put together for that kind of dissipated and fell apart. And so I was like, well, shit, man, I got this. Now I get the beat. By default, the beat just came back to me. And so I like, okay, I got a song with me and Aesop Rock on it. And it's kind of some non sequitur. It's like there was no high concept to it. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like, okay, just rap, go for what you know. And so I'm like, man, who would sound good on here is Doom. And I thought to myself, we had a song 20 years ago called Put Your Quarter Up that was produced by the Mole Man. And so I was like, yo, I wonder if he'd be interested. So I picked up the bat phone and I called Batman, and I was like, Batman, can you reach out to Doom and see what's good? And he came back and said, yeah, Doom is interested. So let's connect you guys. And so I sent him the beat. He was feeling it. He sent back the verse mad quick. Now this was last year, right around right now, actually. It was the end of September when I sent it to him. And then I got the verse back sometime in October. And I'm like, yo, this verse is crazy, because it's like, all right. If you're familiar with the story of MF Doom, you realize that, this is a person who has been through his career has had like the character arc of it's a movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like he really is the supervillain in a way, because it's like there's a origin story, and there's the it's got everything. And so when he sent me back a verse where Doom takes on another personality, it's like I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't heard the song yet, but it's Doom. But then there's an alter ego inside of the verse too, where he flips back and forth between Doom and the alter ego. And I was just like, this is crazy. So I hit him back. I was like, yo, I see what you did here. It's great. I love it. He was happy that I loved it. And then, I just got back to work. Didn't think much of it. Cause even with communications with him, it wasn't like, we were calling each other all the time. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was always business related and random, but always good. And so then, we got word of his passing at the end of the year last year. And I'm going through the timeline of, they said when he passed away, and I'm just like, yo, like that was like right after me and him had, and I was kind of like conflicted, man, because I was like, man, the song is dope. Me and Aesop both really happy. Doom was happy. But am I supposed to release it? You know what I'm saying? Am I supposed to put it out? I don't want to be like exploiting the grief and the pain, you know what I'm saying? But all this happened right away when I was still kind of in the confusion of his passing. You know what I'm saying? I was still in my own version of grieving an artist that I really looked up to, as well as somebody who was always just really cool to me. Me and his our friendship or our relationship is long. It goes back really far. And every time we seen each other, it was like, yo, there was a connection there that I don't even know how to articulate. But every time we see each other, it was just a good camaraderie. It was like we had this understanding of each other as artists, I think, because both of us were really just like trying to do our own thing and not really following anybody else's template. You know what I mean? Anyway, all that's to say that I was conflicted about the song, and after speaking to a few different people, they all kind of like reinforced to me that it was okay to put the song on the record. I'm like, okay, that's dope. I want to put the song on the record. And now I'm really glad that I did, because I think it's a special song. It's really great that we had the opportunity to make like a sequel to Put Your Quarter Up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the music sounds video game-ish. You know what I'm saying? And so it was like, oh, this fits right in with the three of us again. You know, literally 20 years later. I forgot what the question was.
Yeah, I just asked how it all came together, and honestly, you answered that times 10. And it's you were in a weird spot, because we talked about with Swizz about this on our show as well with DMX, right? And there was that moment where it's like, we've been working on all this stuff. He's got a lot of other features out there to other artists. How do we go about trying to get the collective stuff together without everybody trying to take advantage of some of those features, et cetera, and do right by the artist? So your mindset was incredibly right and very conscious of the situation. So I applaud you for taking that time to think about it. And I'm just glad that the world got to hear the song, because it's so unique. Like you said,
you know, he's an artist, much like A$AP Rock, where we work together. Every couple of years we make a song. You know, me and Doom, every few years, one of us would hit the other one up and be like, yo, you want to get on a song? You know what I mean? And you just take for granted that that's going to continue to happen. Yeah. You know, it's interesting, because you're really, really close people, you know, not to take them for granted. Like somebody like, you know, obviously my wife or my siblings or Merce, for example, somebody who's really close to me. You know, we call each other often. We tell each other we love each other all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because that we know that that's what you're supposed to do. But this gives me perspective on like, even some of the people who there's a little bit more distance between me and them. I need to remind myself to remind them how much I appreciate them and how much I appreciate their relationship with me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, this was a person who, you know, I didn't reach out to him often for stuff, but anytime I did, that response was there and it was timely. You know what I'm saying? Much like A$AP Rock, you know, it's one of those things where it's like the love is there. I just got to remember to make sure to let them know more often. You know what I'm saying? Before I go or before they go. You know what I mean?
It's so true. And I think that's what this last year and a half has really taught us, is to, you know, to never take any moment for granted. And the fact that they get back to you the way that they did, and when you needed them, they were there. That shows you right there that they mess with you, you know, and they appreciate and respect what you do and who you are as a person. So yeah, you can never let too much time go between those conversations. Even if it's a text. I've been trying to get better at that, dude, to be honest with you. Like just a light text, like, yo, man, hope you're doing good. Hope your wife and the kids are good. Hit me up soon, man. Whatever. Like that can mean the world to someone who could be going through it. You don't know. I mean, it's not like you said they're in their life every day. So those little gestures, man, mean everything, I think, nowadays, dude.
I agree with you on that. You know, you just gave me an idea. Like, check it out. You and me, let's create an app that robo-texts the people that we care about.
Yes.
And then we just set it up on a schedule, the same way people be scheduling like Instagram posts, right?
Right.
Set up a schedule to send a text to Merce every 3 weeks that says, I love you, homie. I mean, I guess that kind of takes away the sentiment. But at least, you know, anyway.
Well, they don't have to know it's a robotext, bro.
Yeah, everybody is going to get it. They're all robotext. And that's just going to take us even, it's already crazy that we're texting and going one step further outside of the personal. And so, yeah, I take this idea back. In fact, please, nobody ever create it.
Are you a phone call guy? Because I'm a phone call guy. Like, I love hearing someone's voice, you know, and I love being able to hear how they're feeling. You get a better sense of, you know, how they're doing in that moment. And I text, but, you know, I would prefer phone call.
You know, I have this is an ongoing conversation between me and my wife, because, you know, she's a little younger than me. And so that she's texting is like second nature to her. You know what I'm saying? Whereas for me, it's not. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get my first cell phone until I was like late 20s, you know, 30, maybe 30 years old. I was 30 when I got my first cell phone. So then I wasn't even texting until I was like 35. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not it's not what I like to do. And for her, she'll straight up have an argument with me on text. And I'm like, you really want me to read all this and then respond to it? Like, I can't do this.
And you're trying to figure out her tone on the text too, which is a whole nother thing, bro. And it's like, yo, just call me.
You know what? Don't text me. Just send me a series of emojis. Cause at least with that, I can see what the tone is. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
it's like,
right.
Yeah, man. Oh.
So great. Hey, so you mentioned MF Doom and how you guys would come together and do the songs and stuff. Evidence is another person, you know, that I love when you guys get together, whether it be on his project or whether it be on your project. Like, you guys just seem to have that innate chemistry, man. Why is that between you two?
You know, I don't know how I would articulate that. I love him, period. You know what I'm saying? We met a long time ago via our careers, you know what I'm saying, through touring and whatnot. And then the connection was cool because we were both contemporaries, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But once I really kind of got to know him a little bit more, it's just the magnet in him is strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that dude straight up. I will catch an ass whooping for that dude. You know, and I feel like when you meet artists, other people who do what you do, who you feel that way about, what you make together is going to be solid, because it's not about trying to make a hit. It's more about like, yo, we are collaborating and sharing a vision. And with me and him, it's more like, yo, you hear this beat? Yeah, I hear this beat. Like, how do you want to attack this? You know, it's like there's just a vibe to it when you know, it's like I say, it's the same way I feel about a few of my homies that rap. Like when the love is there, the song always ends up sounding great. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
by the way, album Word is out right now. Atmosphere, Slug, right here on Real 92.3 in the Cruise Show. The End of Distances. It's a series of instrumentals, just boom, boom, boom. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and I had to look down and say, "Is that a new track?" And then it was just right at the end. What was that all about? What was Ant trying to do? What were you guys trying to do with that?
I mean, I want to be careful not to speak on behalf of Anthony, because I don't necessarily know that I could tell you exactly what he was trying to do, but I could tell you what I felt when he showed me that. And what I hear in there is little pieces of things that have shown up before in our music, only you're getting bigger pieces of it. So instead of just the snare, you're hearing more than just the snare here, you know? And so what I felt like is that he was incorporating distances in his way. He was showing you, okay, this is how, like, you're used to this little tiny piece, but this is the bigger piece. This is when you take a step back from the planet and look at it, you know? So I got to imagine that he was trying to interpret my lyrics and then figure out what to do. But also, you know, his thing is all sound. He's all about how things sound. And so I feel like he just was trying to make sure he created something that allowed you to go from that song to the next song. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah. But again, I can't speak on behalf of him, but I know for me as a listener, my interpretation of that, and for him to put it at the end of that particular song, I feel like that was a way for him to like, to hit, for him to place distance between him and the project or the song or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause that dude is kind of an art dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's, you know, and I think he'll say the same thing about me. Like, neither of us will admit that we're art dudes, but we can call each other art dudes, you know what I'm saying? And that dude is kind of an art dude. Like, he sees things in ways that I've never met another producer that does that sees it the way he sees it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way he sees music is very, I don't want to say avant-garde, but it's just like, he's kind of out there. He's kind of a bugged out character. And people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? People, when they meet him or when they see him, they don't realize like this dude is a weirdo. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like people could kind of tell that maybe I'm, you know, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But he really don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's all about what he likes and he makes what he likes. And it's just like, I don't think that he really concerns himself too much with how it's going to be received.
Yeah, no, but I speak for all the fans. His art is beautiful, and that was so unexpected and random, and that's what made it so dope, you know. And I'm like, yo, I gotta ask about that. I want to ask on Crumbs. There's a cool line about getting all the billionaires together, taking their money, and then spreading it out to the women and children, and you know, so to have that line in there at a moment in time right now where we've seen the greatest divide between rich and poor, and everybody trying to recover from this pandemic, I thought was such a thoughtful line. At the same time, and I just, you know, I'm curious if that was purposeful in that regard, or it was something where it was just like, yo, like, you know, I need to talk about this because I'm seeing this out in my own community. Where did that line come from, or that thought, or that idea?
I mean, specifically, the idea, I don't think that by any means is it an original thought. You know, it's definitely something that that gets spoken about in my circles. You know, is
Yeah.
the separation between the wealth and the have-nots. And right now, man, you got people, billionaires, you know, flying to space just because they can, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but is that really what's going down? You know what I'm saying? Like, part of me, you know, the side of me that likes to slip in the conspiracy world is like, yo, these fools are prepping to leave because they don't see the future here. You know what I'm saying? You see a guy like who's it, Elon, uh,
Elon Musk.
yeah, buying a bunch of crypto, trying to go away to space because he's gonna leave for a while, and when he come back, cash ain't gonna exist no more. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on, but all I know is that I try not to get too scared about it. Instead, I try to think about it from an artistic space, and look at it to see, okay, what can I speak on or say in a way that benefits my need to rhyme and my need to create, but also put little Easter eggs inside of the shit that
It's
stuff
okay,
that,
you guys. It's
oh, okay, okay,
absolutely
okay.
cool. Yeah.
Put little Easter eggs inside of the art. You know what I'm saying? And that's just one of those Easter eggs to kind of just give people a hint or fill them in a little bit on who I am. You know what I mean? At the end of the
Mhm.
day, man, all this stuff, like all we're doing is we're showing you who we are through our music. And
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, branding or whatever. Like, the bottom line is, if you trust if you hear what I say and you relate and you connect to it, then maybe you might be interested in coming a little closer, and maybe you might, you know, read what I've got to write, or you might I don't know, you might wear a t-shirt, right? Or you might check me out on a podcast, or you might, but the bottom line is, like, when you got something to say and you have a platform to say it, you want to say it. And the larger the platform, or the more you can say, the more you could spread information or spread just even your own feelings. You know, I feel like that's advantageous for all of us. Not necessarily saying you should check me out or peep what I got to say, but I'm saying find the people that you relate to and listen to what they're saying. And if they're saying positive things and they're spreading love, then, you know, tap into that, because that's kind of a limited resource right now. There's a lot of
Mhm.
information out there being spread, but a lot of it is really just to cause division. And
Yep.
if you can't see why the machine is doing that, um, you know, or if you can't see the machines doing that, if you can check it out, and understand why it's doing that. Like, it's making money off you to get you to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? That it's like,
Mhm.
we can still share ideas even if we don't agree with each other. I feel like I'm talking in circles here, and not really zoning in on what it is that I want to say. But I guess ultimately, by me saying that particular line, that's just my way of reminding you to put love first. Really, is to put care, love, compassion, empathy over your need to collect all the money you can collect. You know what I'm saying? Because what's the point of having all the dough if you're not helping people?
Right. And you're not happy in most cases. And I think, like, what you said was very well said, because I think all good art elicits emotion. Right. And I think you through your writing, and Ant through his music, has been able to do that on such a consistent basis since you started. And I can name I don't know, 100 of your songs that have elicited emotion out of me. You know, it could be anything from Last to Say to Dreamer to Music Box. It could be any of those, right? And there's a point in a song, a line like I just referenced, that is a touch point for me, and it's a relatability point for me. And I just think that that's what you've been able to do over these years, and I think that's why your fans are so passionate. And like you said, it doesn't have to be about you. If someone else finds that passion in Soldier Boy and relates to Soldier Boy, go find everything you can find out about Soldier Boy. And I think that that's such a great way to approach music and art and life in general. So very well said. I know you said you're talking in circles, but I think what you said makes complete sense, man. And I appreciate you saying it.
You know, the second part of that line, I think, you know, give the people the power to take better care of each other, because
Mhm.
that's what's being withheld. And because people do want to take care of each other. People do want to, people ultimately, you know, we all bond through pain, and we all want to help each other heal our pains. And so sometimes without the resources, those people are not even given the opportunity to take care of each other, you know. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white dudes sitting on all the dough. And it's like, do you really need all that? You know what I'm saying? Because look at what people could be doing for each other if you could just get off some of that. You know what I'm saying?
So true. Word is out now, man. The album is great. Again, production top notch. You know, stuff you're talking about in the songs and the art is so amazing. You mentioned a couple times, and I love this because we talked about it kind of before we started the interview. The couple references about being old. One, that you're too old for your pants to keep to be sagging anymore, and you know, you had a couple references to being old, and I love that because in a way it's self-deprecating, but at the same time, it's just who you are right now. And again, it's letting people into your thoughts. What's the best part about getting older, dude?
You know, the willingness to grow. You know, I think when you're younger, you tend to be a little bit more, I want to say stubborn, but really what it is insecure. You tend to be more stuck inside of what you think things are supposed to be. And as you get older, I do believe that if you're, you know, if you're open to the universe, you start to understand that like we are not fully developed. What would you say? We are not fully evolved Pokemon yet. You know what I mean? It's like
true.
we have so much room for growth. And when I look at my homies who are my age and see how they're starting to spread their wings as human beings, it makes me realize like, yo, this is a everlasting thing. And don't get me wrong, man. I do believe some people get old and they get closed up, and I think that's because of, you know, environment. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like some people aren't even given that opportunity to like look into themselves and understand themselves because they're so caught up in trying to work and trying to pay bills and make ends meet that it can be kind of hard to focus inward. In fact, it's almost like this place has made it so that looking inward is a privilege. You have to have that privilege of being able to look inward, because otherwise you're just so busy consumed by all the other stuff around you. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I have now got that privilege to look inward. And so I'm not going to take that for granted. I want to make sure that I have that gratitude, and I'm grateful for that privilege. And I want to use it so that I can look inward, deal with it, talk about it, hopefully find the people out there who have learned to trust what I got to say or trust what I'm presenting or communicating. Then I can share that with them. You know, like you said about the Soulja Boy thing or about any artist, it's like, find that artist that resonates with you and see if you could trust that artist. And that's not just MCs, rappers, whatever. It's people who write books, films, whatever. Find the art that you trust, that resonates with you, and dig deep into that. And before you know it, I mean, you might be the next one to make the art, you know what I'm saying? Or to take it and share that book with a friend, share that space, share that love, because that's really kind of what we need. You know what I'm saying? I watch it, what's going on in Texas right now with, you know, they're everything but a full out ban on abortions. And I'm like, yo, like that's a lot of people who are really dedicated to like being at odds with each other. You know what I'm saying? But I think back to when I was a kid and we had these types of issues, and people would pick sides, and maybe me and you wouldn't agree on this particular issue, but over here we might agree on 5 or 6, 7 other issues. But because of that one issue, we'd have to talk, because we did agree on other issues, and we would talk it out and we would find some resolution, or we would agree to disagree, walk away, whatever. But nowadays it ain't even like that. It's like, if you and me disagree on this one issue, then you are now my enemy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You are now me and you, we got beef for life. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, man, like, yo, this is not the way. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not. It's insane because the wall just goes up immediately. And I think part of it is, you know, the fact that on social media you can launch a missile, you know, and hide behind it, you know, anonymously on the internet and start shit with people, you know what I mean? And like, that's cancel culture. And that's a whole nother thing. But like, it's so weird because it is so divisive. And it's like, we've come such a long way with mental health, right? Like, it's spoken about so much. I mean, I think about the conversations that I have with my teens or whatever, and I have had more conversations in a year and a half or 2 years than my parents ever had with me, than my mom ever had with me. And I'm like, wow, we're advancing as a society. And then I'll turn on the TV and see exactly what you talked about. I'm like, well, maybe not, because every time someone disagrees, the wall immediately goes up. So I think it's on us to really teach our kids and just to say, like, listen, just because there's an old line in a Common song, right? Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I'm hating, right? Like,
Right.
it's a whole thing like that. That's more people need to have that, type of mentality, because we can agree to disagree and keep it pushing. It's all right.
I'm glad you steered it to the social media, because it's like I used to be part of the problem, man. I used to be on Twitter, signal boosting things that I believed in, but pushing it out in a way that really left little to no room for actual discourse or anybody to like challenge my beliefs. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and that, with me having a platform of like 250,000 followers, I mean, granted, most of them are probably fucking bots. And but
okay.
but me having that platform, I look at that and go, man, like, did I really do that the right way? Was that productive? Was that progressive? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know if it was. You know what I'm saying? I feel like in a way I played my role in helping division. That's why I hopped off of most of that stuff. I'm only on Instagram now, man, and the label runs the Facebook. As far as I know, the Twitter is in the graveyard. You know what I'm saying? And I like Instagram kind of because it's not all the anger, it's not all of the divisiveness. It's just it's just like, look at my socks. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and I could get down with that. I like your socks. Those are nice socks. You know what I'm saying? It's like if me and you are supposed to build on issues, we're gonna build face to face or over the phone. We're not. It's like we're not. There ain't no. We're not getting nothing built on social media. At least not me. You know what I mean? I wasn't building nothing. I was just destroying. I was just part of the game of tearing things down. I wasn't offering solutions. I just was on there talking about, all cops are bastards or some shit. You know what I mean? It's like and so I look at it now like, man, but what was solution based? None of what I did was solution based. So I had to go. I had to get off. It's too toxic.
And it's funny because like when people will put something out there, an opinion out in the air, which is great, and that's what social media is about, and that's cool. They only want to hear the people that agree with them. They're not ready for the people that challenge them, right? And that's kind of the weird irony of the whole thing, like it's just like you only want to read the good comments, and when you get a bad one, you go into this crazy depression, like, oh my God, whatever. And it's like you have to be ready for both, and that's okay, man. Like that's life, and it's a tough thing for kids to absorb. And trust me, man, I try to do my best to talk to my kids about that, because it's crazy that they have to deal with that at 15. Can you imagine? Like, I remember what an idiot I was at 15, and to have the weight of the world now on my shoulders, I don't know that I could deal with it. So I give the kids nowadays so much credit for what they have to deal with and how well they deal with it, man. And we just, like you said, we got to be able to keep having these conversations, man, because if not, we're not going to progress as a society, man. It's a lot. It's a lot.
That's super real.
So let me ask you about writing. You talked about being open and being transparent with the audience, and hopefully that connects. I don't know if you've ever been to therapy. I know I have, and I didn't go until I had kids, and that's when I really felt like I needed it, to be a better dad. Is writing to you therapeutic, and have you took it a step further and sought, therapy?
Writing has always been a place for me to put those things that I didn't know how to just say to people. I would write it in a song, and then I would deal with the consequences after, until I learned how to write in ways that brought better consequences. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically I had, it took a long time for me to kind of go through and learn how to not hurt other people with my pen. If I'm going to hurt anybody with my pen, I want it to just be myself. I fall on my own sword. I don't want to hurt nobody else's feelings, because I hurt a few people's feelings, people who were really important to me. And when I realized that I had that much power, I had to learn how to work that out. As far as, my therapy, writing, what it does for me is like the stuff that I go through when I'm writing that doesn't even make it to the paper, doesn't even make it to the song. That's the important stuff. So the song, I'm looking for the rhymes. I'm looking for the parts that are like bumper stickers, t-shirt slogans. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking to write those songs that are like, oh, somebody will hear that and be like, and it'll resonate with them. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm looking for the story. I love stories. I love writing stories, but all of the stuff that I'm thinking about and dealing with while I'm in the process of processing the song, that's the therapy for me. As far as taking it a step further, yeah, I married a therapist. And so,
whoa, all right.
I mean, she, I probably should never hire her to be my therapist.
That would be bad.
Yeah. But it brought me closer to the language, closer to the process of thought, all of the, because I could bounce questions off of her, and she's open and willing to let me know her opinions and her thoughts on what I'm dealing with or going through. But that's more of just like a partnership, not so much therapy. I have yet to seek out therapy. It's on the to-do list. You know what I'm saying? It's just I grew up in an era where we didn't have that when I was younger. Therapy was weed. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Therapy for my older cousins was crack. You know what I'm saying? It's like therapy was, you weren't even allowed to be crazy in my neighborhood. If you were crazy, it was because you were a vet, right? And
Right.
and you were the uncle of somebody's, you were my friend's uncle, and you lived on the top floor of their house, and I never seen you. I just knew you were up there watching TV. That was mental health in the 80s.
Yep.
And then the rest of the people in the 80s self-medicated with drugs.
Yep.
In the 90s, the self-medication continued, but for me specifically, music started to take that space. That's what kept me probably from self-medicating with drugs to deal with whatever kind of things I was dealing with. And then I've coasted through that all the way till now, where I'm like, it's definitely going to be advantageous when I finally find somebody who I feel comfortable talking to.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's important. I feel like if you are concerned about that and nervous about doing it and scared to do it, then that's probably a sign that you should do it. That's what right. I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's probably a sign that you should get busy and do it. So if anybody hears this, just know I'm there with you. I'm nervous, I'm scared, and I also think it's a sign that it's something I feel like I could benefit from.
Yeah, man, it's enlightening because if you would have told my 17-year-old self, like, hey, one day, man, you're going to be talking to a therapist to make you a better dad, I would have been like, well, first of all, I have no business being a dad. Second of all, I've never could see myself talking to someone about my problems. But, man, it's amazing what it can do. And however you have it, whether it be through art, even if it's video games or if it's DJing or if it's producing or painting or writing songs like you, man. I mean, I think people should seek it out. And I think however you find your therapy, it's a blessing when you can have it affect your life in a positive way. Word is out now, man. And again, thank you so much for the great conversation. I was talking to my brother a little bit because I told him, like, yo, I'm going to interview Slug, man. I'm nervous as shit. I really appreciate what this guy's meant to me, through his music and all the, the relatability that he's provided me through song and even therapy through listening through your songs. And we were talking about how you were, at one point categorized as emo rap, kind of, you're like the OG emo, right? Like at a particular time, because people weren't necessarily doing what you were doing, and then we see a lot more of that now, a little bit more, people aren't afraid to say that they're sad, upset, or they have this issue or that issue. Was that correct at that time to kind of categorize you that way? Or did you always kind of like feel like, why are people doing that? I'm just being me. And how is it different from what's going on now with people like, I don't know, like someone like like an XXX or someone like an Uzi or someone like that? I mean, are there differences or are they the same?
Well,
sorry for the long question.
No, it's all good. To be fair, nobody had ever used the term emo rap. I worked in a record store, and I had to learn all the terms for all the different types of genres of rock music and genres of soul and genres that, I had to learn the different genres of jazz because we sold a lot of music. Right. And one time, 1998, I was doing a interview with Herb magazine. I don't know if you remember them.
Yep.
And it was for a project I was a part of called Deep Puddle Dynamics. And we were being interviewed, and I jokingly referred to what I do as cynical, minimalistic emo rap. And as far as I know, that's the first time that phrase had ever been used in print or anywhere. Like, I had jokingly been saying it at the record store, like, because we were making tapes, and everybody was like, rap was just rap. There was no legs, there was no layers, there was no different genres. So when you put the tapes or the CDs away at the record store, you just put it in the rap section.
Exactly. Yep.
And so I would always joke when they would put my Headshots tapes up in there or anything that was related to me. I would be like, yo, we need to make a new genre for emo rap, and then that was the joke. So technically I invented the term emo rap. So when people started using it against me, I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, you can't hurt me with my own sword. You know what I'm saying? It's like I made the joke first. And so for people to start using it to be like, oh, that's emo rap, I was like, well, yeah, it is. And I did not invent the sound, because I could easily point at Scarface records, I could point at Tupac records, I could point at Ghostface, I could point at Prodigy and what he was doing in Mobb Deep. Like, all of these artists were doing versions of this music that was talking about the stuff they was thinking about in ways that was more than just showing you the reality of their life, but they were actually kind of dealing with still, male and aggressive emotion, but it was emotion, and they were putting it out there for us to hear. They were vulnerable in some of their music. You know what I'm saying? And so when I started calling what I was doing emo rap, it wasn't like I felt like I invented a new genre. I just named it. If that makes any sense. And then after it got printed, other journalists started asking me about it, because they had seen the piece on Deep Puddle Dynamics probably. And then what happened was somebody wrote a piece in Spin magazine, a bigger piece that was about emo rap. And they interviewed the people that they thought were emo rappers. And I was the main focus, but then they also had, like, I can't remember who else. I think Buck 65 and I can't remember who else. But that's when it was like solid and set in stone. Once the Spin article came out, then it suddenly became a genre. And then when I would go back into that record store I used to work at, they would jokingly be like, yo, we created an emo rap section for you. You know what I mean? It was like, and in time though, I did feel like it was unfortunate that people were separating me and other people like me from the regular rap, because that's all I ever wanted, was the validation of, being like my heroes. I wanted to be Big Daddy Kane. You know what I'm saying? Yep. I wanted to be, and
Slick Rick and those guys. Yeah.
And I was just doing my own version of keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? But now in hindsight, way back, I don't care, man. I don't care. Yeah. I did it again in 2011. I started calling us dad rap. When we made the family sign, and yeah. I jokingly said it in a couple of pieces. I think a couple of like local weeklies here and there, and maybe somewhere, I can't remember where, but I started calling it dad rap. And then people started using that one against me, like, oh, that dad rap that he be doing. Like, I'm like, okay, whatever. But then lo and behold, Nas, Jay-Z make records, and those same journalists are calling theirs dad rap, but they're doing it with a love instead of with trying to knock it down. You know what I'm saying? It's super funny. So now I realize that's my true calling, is just come out here and invent names for genres of rap music. You know what I'm saying?
You're good at it, man. You're good at it.
And as far as like when you talk about Uzi and XXX and I would say like Juice WRLD and some of these artists who are doing a version of what they call emo rap now, I wouldn't necessarily say those artists were influenced by me as much as they're influenced by a culture that is more willing and open to allowing us to process that stuff on our music. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, because I can't imagine that Lil Uzi ever heard an Atmosphere song, right? But that don't matter. The branch is still there. It's a part, it's a part of Lil Uzi might not really know a Scarface song either, but he's a part of that branch, just like I was a part. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a big tree now. Back in the day, it was a tiny little tree and we used to water it and love it and take care of it. And now this tree is massive and it's got lots of branches, and some of us occupy more than one branch. And so, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, so you could draw lines and parallels from me to those artists, just like you came from me to Ghostface or Prodigy. And the average listener might hear an Atmosphere song and not hear a single relation to a Ghostface or a Prodigy song. But if you analyze what's being spoken about and what the whole and how we are processing, it's in there. You know what I'm saying? No different than the way if you analyze what a Lil Peep was doing, or you know what I'm saying? It's in there as well. You know what I mean? And I just think it's healthy in general for these artists to be processing their feelings in their music, because then that lets the listeners feel okay to do the same. And I think that at the end of the day, that's really what it is. My version of it in the late 90s, early 2000s was not the healthiest version. And I enabled a lot of my listeners to process theirs in ways that are less healthy. I know better now. And now I'm healthier for myself, which hopefully translates to listeners, and hopefully those listeners might take a little piece of that and apply that to their lives as well. just like nowadays, maybe some of these newer kids are processing in ways that aren't the healthiest for themselves, right?
Right.
But and their listeners are probably following along. But you give Lil Uzi some time to develop into, because he's still a young man. He's got years ahead of him, hopefully, you know what I'm saying, to develop into what he's going to be. I feel like that's the power. That's the true power. And again, it comes back to what we were saying before. Like, you find an artist that you could trust because they say things that resonate with you, and zone in on that. You know what I'm saying? As long as that artist ain't putting a gun in your hand and telling you to go out and do horrible things to other human beings. But if that artist is like, if you trust what they're saying and you feel them, whether it's Lil Uzi or me or Tupac, you know what I'm saying? It don't matter. Like, if you trust it, like lean in. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about storytelling. I referenced Slick Rick. You talked about your love of telling stories. When it comes to something like, I referenced these two songs earlier, so we'll use them, like Last to Say and like Dreamer. Are you observing that situation somewhere? Is it just something that you saw on TV or something that you read in a book or in a magazine and you said, wow, like I want to expand and talk about this particular issue or this particular person's life at this moment? How do those songs evolve? How do they come about?
They come from anywhere. And speaking solely on behalf of myself as a writer, I draw from anywhere. So, a song like Last to Say draws from my actual life, my experience as a child and growing up in a household that had, issues. You know what I'm saying? There was domestic violence in my house as a kid. You know what I mean? And so having an up close look at that felt like it gave me the agency to write about that from a place that was like true and honest, but also, still judgmental. You know what I'm saying? I was still critical. You know what I'm saying? It's like, not critical as an outsider looking in, but critical as an insider trying to find the out. But then a song like Dreamer, you referenced that one. And I specifically know what that's from. That's from me witnessing on a bus ride, a woman get on the bus with her two kids, and was like, yo, like watching who knows? I didn't talk to her, but what I felt like I saw was focus, drive, perseverance, all this stuff. Cause her kids were, they did not seem to be easy to wrangle, and she was just handling, you know what I'm saying? And that gave me an idea for a song, and then there's a song like Became off the Family Sign record where I literally stole that idea from a poem that was written by a friend of my wife's uncle. One time he was like, hey, I want to share this poem with you. And he shared it with me, and it was short. It was just a tiny little poem, but it was the seed that planted in me a much longer, larger story. You know what I'm saying? So like I say, these things could come from anywhere. And I think one of my greatest strengths is that I'm not afraid to lift something, to lift an idea. A lot of artists are so insecure about validating their own specific ideas that it's like if they saw a TV show and they saw something that gave them an idea, they might not go down that path because they feel like it wasn't an original thought. But I'm just kind of like, I don't even know what an original thought is. I don't know if I care. To me, it's all about taking thoughts and sharing them and communicating them. And so, so a song like Became, like I said, I kind of, there was a seed planted in me about there was a poem that he showed me about a guy looking for his friend, and he was concerned that they were out hunting or something, and he was concerned that his friend had become a wolf. And then it was done. It was mad short. And then I just like, yo, I have an idea of how to take that and apply that to a story about being concerned for your friend who's been hanging out with the wrong crowd. You know what I'm saying? So that crowd became the wolves, and your friend was been kicking it with the wolves, and now your friend has become a wolf. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah. So stories, they're my favorite. It's my favorite stuff to write. When I can come up with a good one, when I can nail a good one, I'm so happy. Like, it's ridiculous. Like it's like you can make fun of me if you see how happy I get when I come up with a good story. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, like Postal Lady was a song that was on a record a couple of records ago. It was a song about, waiting for the mail carrier to come because I have a crush on her. And I was so excited about that because it's a story nobody's ever written, as far as I could tell. I'd never heard a song like that in any genre of music, right? And then of course, Ant always hears them songs. He's like, it's just corny. You know, like, why, what are you doing? Why are you? I'm like, no,
I made this fire beat. Why are you talking about the postal lady?
Bam. He was like, yeah, you need to do that on a funnier beat. If you're going to make a funny song, you know, and I'm like, nah, this the juxtaposition of taking the funny song and putting it on a beat that's more emotional. That's what will hit people. You know, we have opinions and argue and whatever, but and he knows when to give in, and I know when to give in. But that song, I swear, is probably one of my top 10 favorite songs that I've ever made. And don't tell nobody I said that, because I tend to not pretend like I like my own songs, but I love the sound of my own voice, man.
Yo, thank you for all the stories you tell, man. Because as I mentioned before, the relatability factor on so many fronts is, man, they just cut through, and I just appreciate it, man. I can't even begin to tell you. Like, if you asked me to give me my top 5 of yours, I don't know that I could do it, man. I would be stuck doing it, you know. But I want to end on this question. Is the waitress his daughter or not? And I've seen the long form video, I've seen all this, and you know, it's like one of those things, you talk about conspiracy theories earlier, and everybody has their thoughts on how that is and what the answer is to that question. Can you answer it? Will you answer it?
I mean, well, here, for starters, that long form video, we didn't make that. That was a fan made video.
Yeah. Did you like that, by the way? Did you dig it when they did that?
I love it, man. I love it, because I look at it like this, man. Just like how that poem inspired me to write a song called Became, my song inspired somebody to make a short film. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that is the beauty of art, is that we inspire each other, and we create more and add more to the larger conversation, to the larger communication, you know? So I love that. Let me ask you something. What was your interpretation of The Waitress?
My personal interpretation was, it wasn't his daughter, but it was someone who reminded him of his daughter. And he, you know, when he sees her, whether it be a physical appearance or her mannerisms or whatever, he is reminded of his daughter and reminded of his own failures to be a great dad. Because when that last line comes in, you know, and that piano hits, I can't even begin to tell you the impact of that as a father. Now, I don't have daughters, but I have sons. And as a father, your job is to try to be the best effing father that you can be. And when that line hits, it makes you reflect on so many things that you've done or you hope to do in your fatherhood. And so my interpretation is that, like, I don't know necessarily that it's his blood relative, but I do think he goes in there purposefully to have that reminder, good or bad. That's why he goes in there every day, to make sure that his daughter is on his mind every day. And I don't know if I'm far off there, but that's what I hear when I hear it.
As far as I'm concerned, you nailed it. That's the interpretation I'm gonna roll with, is the one you just gave.
All right.
That's my favorite interpretation, because people have asked me this question before, and I always ask them, what was your interpretation? And yours is that's the one that is the most, when you give that interpretation, that's the one that I am connecting with. Like, you know, people that are like, oh yeah, it's too easy. It's too easy to say it's his daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way it could be that simple. It has to be more than that. There has to be more to this story, because if it was that simple, there was really no reason to say half of the stuff that was said in that song. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, to me, that you know, I'm not allowed to tell you my interpretation. But what I'm allowed to do is to just
right. Well, I apologize for asking the question you've been asked before. But you know, yeah, it reminds me of the end of Sopranos. You know, like David Chase has to answer that question, I don't know how many times. What happened?
What do you think happened? What do you think happened at the end of
Sopranos? Shit. I think he got shot. You know what I mean? Which is a too easy answer there. But I just think, you know, yeah, I think he got shot there. What about you?
Well, why is that too easy though?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, just like it would be too easy to, you know, have the waitress be his daughter, but still, it's a very plausible answer. But
if he didn't get shot, there would be no need for them to have shown us the shooter. You know, it's the same. Yes. It's the same thing as like, okay, you showed me the shooter. Why? Was it just to make me go? And if that's the case, that's cool. But you showed me the shooter. So therefore, you know, whatever your immediate idea is, whatever you first go to is likely correct. That's just how we operate. You know what I'm saying? And so it doesn't matter. The other options don't even exist, because you create your own reality Now, that don't mean the person sitting next to you has to have the same look. That's because they have a whole different reality. In fact, so many other realities exist simultaneously. And that's the truth, and that's the thing about the song The Waitress is like, you're right. Your interpretation is 100% correct. Now, if I would have asked you and you would have said, I think it's his daughter, I still could be like, you're right. Your interpretation is 100% correct. And that's the whole reason for the way The Sopranos ended. That's the whole reason for the gotcha moment at the end of all the Atmosphere songs. They got the gotcha moment.
Yep.
There's a song on the new album on Word called Skull.
Yes.
In that song, there's a gotcha moment, but it's not as obvious. And I think that in time, somebody's going to stumble upon the gotcha moment to that song. And hopefully, if I'm doing my job correctly, they're going to be really happy. If they're a fan, if they've been following us for a while, they're going to be happy when they discover the gotcha moment to that song.
I love that it brings you joy to put the gotcha moments in. I love that it brings you joy to plant Easter eggs, like you mentioned earlier, because that it reinforces what we think of you as fans. Like we don't know you, right? I mean, I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit better talking to you the last hour. The fact that now I see that and it validates what I think about you in a way, like, man, you're everything as advertised. What you write is who you are. And I can appreciate that so much. And I know everybody else that listens to your music feels the same way, dude, man. Like, I can't thank you enough for this time, dude. Like, I've been a fan for a long time, man. And just to sit down and be able to pick your brain on some fun stuff and just to talk to you about philosophical shit too, man, was amazing, so thank you for your time, dude.
Thank you back, man. I appreciate it. This was a great conversation. And I look forward to doing it again sometime. And I will do my best to do my best. Yeah. Word. It's available now on all streaming platforms. In fact, you know what? What's next is we're going to create a way for you to get the music for free, the whole catalog. You're going to get the whole Atmosphere catalog for free. But the catch is this: you're only going to get the songs that you already know. Any Atmosphere songs that you're not aware of, whether they're the old 4-track ones or the ones where I'm doing features in random places, if you're not familiar with the song, you don't get that one, but you get the rest of the catalog, and it will be supplied to you for free as a shot. You're going to get a shot in your arm, and you will get all the songs for free. All you got to do to access the free songs is to close your eyes and think about the song, and it'll be right there for you for free, but only the ones you know. Word.
Is the shot FDA approved?
Fuck the FDA.
Yo, check out more of our YouTube interviews now, ASAP+. Download the free iHeartRadio app so you can check out the Cruise Show podcast.